Somewhere between Resident Evil and Dead Rising. In the icy shadow of Monster Hunter and Devil May Cry, Capcom launched a strange and frozen experiment. A third-person, sci-fi shooter set on a hostile alien planet filled with mechs, bugs, and snowstorms. A game where heat is health and the time is always ticking. I was a little kid when I played the game for the first time. I distinctly recalled fighting a big green bug at the start of the game and then never progressing further because I thought it was too hard. This is Lost Planet Extreme Condition, a game that burned bright, froze over, and vanished beneath the snowdrifts of gaming history. Today we're revisiting its development, its ambitious design, its haunting world, and asking, why did we forget it? The story begins in 2005. Capcom was eyeing the West and the new Xbox 360 as a path into the global market. Director Jun Takeuchi, fresh off of producing Resident Evil 4, wanted to create something different. Not horror, not fantasy, but sci-fi. Cold, isolated sci-fi. The inspiration? The Thing. Snowy movie sets from his childhood, and the idea of survival not against zombies, but against the planet itself. What he pitched was ambitious. A shooter with giant enemies, enormous environments, mech suits, and a constant battle against the enemies. Capcom greenlit the project and built it using the new MT Framework engine, technology that would later power Dead Rising, Resident Evil 5, and more. But there's a twist. This game wouldn't be Japan first. It will debut on Xbox 360, and the main character would be modeled after Korean actor Lee Byung-hun to better connect with international audiences. The result was something rare. A Japanese-developed game made with Western sensibilities, but filtered through Capcom's unique lens. At the core of Lost Planet is a brilliant mechanic: thermal energy. EDN 3 is cold. Deadly cold. Your body temperature is constantly dropping, and the only way to survive is to stay warm. Killing enemies, finding heat sources, breaking open energy tanks. Every second that meter ticks down. Every second that meter ticks down, runs out, you freeze to death. Simple. This isn't just a survival gimmick, it's the spine of the game. It drives the pacing, it forces movement, you can't camp, you can't stall, and you're always making split-second choices. Do you use that energy to heal, or save it for later? Do you take the long route for more pickups, or charge into the unknown and hope there's something ahead? It adds an ambient pressure that turns every level into a race, not against just enemies, but the planet itself. In an era before stamina bars and survival meters were common, Lost Planet was already experimenting with systemic tension in a big way. The levels in Lost Planet are massive, multi-layered, and filled with secrets, but they also feel quiet, sparse, and isolated. You move through abandoned research bases, frozen towns, and icy wastelands. There's often no music, just the wind and that ticking meter. Enemies erupt from the snow. Acrid. Insectoid aliens that vary from dog-sized nuisances to skyscraper-sized monsters. And the Acrid are a primary antagonist lifeform in Lost Planet Extreme Condition. They're insectoid, highly aggressive creatures native to the frozen world of EDN 3. The Acrid are biologically unique due to their reliance on thermal energy, which is generated and stored within the glowing orange weak points. This energy is crucial for survival in the planet's harsh climate, making them a key target for human colonists and mercenaries who hunt them for resources. And each mission ends in a boss fight true to Capcom form. These fights feel more like Monster Hunter than Gears of War. You circle, dodge, wait for openings, shoot out all the glowing weak points. Then there are the vital suits, mechs that are scattered across the planet. Some are slow tanks, others fly and are slightly more nimble, acting kind of like a Gundam instead of a walking tank, and even then, those are far and few between. They're clunky, but intentionally so, that add weight to the sense of scale. You're not a superhero, you're a survivor clinging to steel. The mix of open spaces, verticality, and vehicle combat creates a pacing that's unique. Not a corridor shooter, it's more of a battlefield, and these battlefields hold many different weapons and massive cannons to the aptly named machine gun. The story of Lost Planet is simple, but strangely compelling. We're only going to touch on the story briefly to limit some spoilers. You are Wayne Holden, a snow pirate left for dead after a failed battle against the massive Acrid known as Green Eye, the creature that killed your father. You wake up with amnesia, rescued by a ragtag group of fellow pirates. All you have is your father's harmonizer and a device that keeps you alive, and a thirst for revenge. But here's what begins as a personal vendetta unravels into a conspiracy. A corporate empire named Nevik is harvesting thermal energy, and they'll kill anyone who gets in their way. You discover that your father wasn't a scientist. He may have helped engineer the very system that Nevik now uses to control the planet. It's classic Capcom. Mega corporations, mystery tech, frozen clones, and just enough melodrama to keep things interesting. And Wayne isn't just a complex character, but he doesn't need to be. His story is about pushing forward through the storm, through pain, and towards the truth. Lost Planet's sound design is subtle, but powerful. Composer Tetsuya Shibata, known for Devil May Cry and Monster Hunter, crafts a score that shifts from ambient dread to full orchestral drama. The game often goes quiet. You'll hear your boots in the snow, a hum of the machine, and a distant screech of an acrid or two. Then you have the boss fights, and the orchestra slams in. Violins, horns, heavy drums. It's like walking into a Final Fantasy battle inside a sci-fi film. The contrast doesn't just sell the tension. You're alone, and then you're overwhelmed. The sound doesn't just accompany the gameplay, it guides your emotional rhythm. Even the voice acting, while a bit wooden, adds to the strange dreamlike tone. It feels like watching a dubbed space opera through ice. When Lost Planet launched, it made waves. Strong sales, solid reviews, and it was one of Capcom's earliest Xbox 360 successes. But the sequels? They lost their way. Lost Planet 2 focused on co-op and multiplayer, stripping away the isolation and survival. Lost Planet 3, made by a Western studio, tried to reboot the tone, but was bogged down by linearity and pacing issues. The original remains the most cohesive, most visionary, and yet we don't talk about it anymore. Maybe it was overshadowed? Maybe it was too weird. Maybe the cold just scared people off. But if you look beneath the surface, Lost Planet is still there. A frozen world, a desperate fright, a game about heat, heart, and hanging on. It's not perfect, but it's unforgettable, and sometimes games we forget say more about us than the ones we remember. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this somewhat deep dive, consider liking, subscribing, or dropping a comment about your memories of Lost Planet if you played the game. Until next time.